Hello, my name is Martin, and I have a story to tell you. It all started a few years ago, back in the day when Tik Tok wasn't this popular. That's when the whole thing started, with me staring at my phone every morning, hoping for notifications that never came. If you look me up now, you'll find nothing. All my accounts were suspended and banned. But it wasn't always like this. I used to be very popular, but for the wrong reasons. The first time my videos got attention was when I caught a real fever. I was stuck in bed, sweating, bored, annoyed. I posted a clip saying I felt awful. For the first time in months, comments flooded in. People asked if I was okay. Some wrote essays about staying strong. I swallowed that attention like it was medicine. When I recovered, everything went quiet again. The silence felt like someone had pulled the plug on my whole world. I posted another video saying the fever was lingering. People reacted again. It felt too good, almost addictive. That's when things started to rot, even if I was too desperate to notice. I spent a lot of time alone. My family worked all day, and I stayed in my room scrolling endlessly. Hours blended together. The only thing that changed was the hit of attention when someone left a comment. Eventually, just saying I felt sick wasn't enough. The views dipped again. The app made it clear: be interesting or disappear. That pressure sat on my chest like a weight. I hated the idea of going back to being invisible. So I pushed the story further. I said the fever had turned into something worse. I claimed my legs felt weak. People believed me instantly. They called me brave. They sent money. Their support hit harder than anything else in my life. I practiced looking weaker by dragging my feet through the hallway. I recorded myself using a chair like a walker. The comments exploded with sympathy. Soon, I bought a cheap wheelchair. It squeaked horribly, but it looked real enough on camera. People cried in the comments. Donations increased. And the silence in my room finally vanished. Every day I woke up terrified that people would stop caring. I checked my phone before I even moved. The idea of being ignored again made me feel sick. I pushed the lie deeper. I acted shaky on camera. I filmed late-night episodes. The more dramatic I made it, the more people followed. But the tension in my head never faded. I barely slept. I hid everything from my family. I trained myself to stay in the wheelchair for hours so my legs looked stiff on video. The routine messed with me until I wasn't sure what was fake anymore. When I uploaded, my throat tightened with panic. What if someone noticed something? What if the whole thing collapsed? The comments saved me, but they also trapped me. They called me strong, a fighter. That word poisoned me more than anything. Strong. Everything got worse when a follower messaged me privately, asking for medical documents. My stomach dropped. If they exposed me, I'd be done. I searched online for templates. I filled out forms with shaky handwriting. I stained them with coffee so they looked worn. I imagined myself getting banned, humiliated, exposed, but they believed the documents. And yet, the fear stayed. It grew like mold inside my head. When the donations slowed again, something snapped. I looked at the wheelchair, at the camera, and my empty notification bar and felt concerned. If I couldn't keep faking it, then I needed to prove something real. The idea came quietly. Show them something dramatic enough that they'd never doubt me again. My family had no idea. They thought I was dealing with some rare condition. I hid everything. Chairs, receipts, packaging. I pretended to nap whenever they checked on me. But the final push didn't come from me. It came from them, my audience. They started demanding proof. Some wanted close-ups. Some wanted live updates. Some wrote things that felt more like orders than comments. If it's that bad, show us. Don't cut the video next time. We need to see something real. I should have logged off. Instead, I reread those messages until the pressure twisted into something worse, a sense of obligation. That's when I hid a small tool in my room, convincing myself I'd only pretend to use it for a video. But the longer I thought about it, the more real the idea started to feel. That night, I set up my phone on the floor. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. I recorded a short update saying things were getting worse. The comments came instantly. Don't hold back. Show us.
If it hurts, let us see it.
It didn't feel like support anymore. It felt like a crowd pushing someone closer to the edge just to see what would happen. I sat there on the floor, breathing hard, staring at the tool. I lifted my left arm and placed my right hand on the handle. My chest tightened. My eyes burned. This wasn't about sickness anymore. I was seconds away from doing something I wouldn't be able to take back. My arm was already tense. The tool pressed against my skin just enough for my brain to scream at me, and the only thing pushing me forward were the comments flashing non-stop on my phone.
Do it on camera.
Don't chicken out.
We've been waiting for this.
Someone even wrote,
If you stop now, you're a fraud.
My heart pounded so hard I felt lightheaded, and for a moment I actually leaned in, ready to follow through just to shut them up. That's when the door blasted open so loudly I jumped. My brother lunged toward me before I could pull back, ripping the tool out of my hand while my parents grabbed my arms and held me still. They didn't yell. They looked terrified, like they'd caught me inches away from falling off a cliff. I couldn't even look at them. The only thing I could see, even with the tool gone and my family pulling me into the hallway, was my phone screen still glowing on the floor, filled with strangers cheering me towards something. I almost did. My family held my wrists gently, keeping me from picking anything up. My mom kept saying my name like she was trying to pull me back to reality. I couldn't look at any of them. The shame hit harder than anything else. They didn't yell. They didn't freak out. They just stayed with me, grounding me, making sure I didn't do something stupid in a moment of panic. I didn't fight. I didn't even speak. They helped me up, guided me out of the room, and drove me to the hospital. No cameras. No comments. Just the heavy silence of facing what I'd almost done. The doctor talked to me calmly, told me I'd be transferred for evaluation. My family stayed nearby, exhausted and scared. My account was suspended. My videos removed. Donations refunded. My name stopped trending faster than I could blink. Now I'm in treatment. I'm learning to live without constant validation, without turning myself into a spectacle. I'm not proud of anything I did, and I can't blame it all on the audience. I was the one who crossed lines, even if I stopped right before the worst part. Sometimes I think about how close I was, how my brain convinced me that strangers' attention mattered more than my own safety. The scariest part isn't what almost happened. It's knowing that if my family hadn't walked in, I might have listened to people who didn't care whether I survived or not, only whether the story stayed interesting. And that's what I have to carry now, every day.
I record videos for a living. Nothing fancy, short clips about makeup, clothes, or whatever trend is floating around. My name is Kara, and I live with my sister in a small house outside the city. The place is quiet enough that the only real problem is keeping the basement dry after it rains. I always hated that basement. Not because of stories or nonsense. It's cold, it smells old, and the light flickers no matter how many times we fix it. I was alone that afternoon. My sister Lily said she'd spend the day out buying stuff for her job. She sent a quick message before leaving, something about shoes she needed. I didn't pay much attention. I had a long list of videos to record, and I wasn't in the mood for anything else. Everything was normal. I was filming the third take of a random product review when I heard a noise under the floor. It wasn't loud, but it was clear. A hit against something wooden, like someone tapping from below. I stopped recording and listened, waiting for it to repeat. At first I brushed it off. Houses make noises, wood moves, pipes click, whatever. I didn't care. I kept working until the sound happened again, sharper this time. It came from the basement, no doubt. I put the phone down and rolled my eyes, annoyed. I assumed Lily had decided to come back early and mess with me. That was exactly the kind of thing she'd do. I texted her, "If you're home, stop making noise. I'm filming." She replied she was downtown. Pfft, as if. She was clearly lying. I turned off the ring light and listened again. Another knock came from the basement. Same rhythm, same tone, like someone waiting for a reaction. Something about the timing felt intentional. I sighed and grabbed my phone to record it, thinking it would make a funny clip. If Lily wanted to joke around, then fine, I'd catch her first. Before going down, I checked the front door out of habit. Locked. No sign she came back inside. I checked the kitchen window, closed. No shoes near the entrance. I felt a brief confusion, but I didn't let it get bigger. I convinced myself she sneaked in just to bother me. I walked toward the basement door. The air wasn't strange, it wasn't heavy, it wasn't cold, it was just normal. That was the annoying part. Nothing felt wrong, and yet someone kept hitting something down there. Before opening the door, I paused for a moment, not because I was scared, but because I wanted to catch her perfectly. I held the phone up ready to record everything. The knocking stopped as soon as my hand touched the handle, like whoever was doing it knew I was about to come in. I opened the door slowly. The first step into the basement creaked. I let the camera roll. The light from upstairs didn't reach far, so the screen showed mostly darkness and the narrow stairs descending. I stood at the top step for a moment to build up the silence. I wanted the perfect clip of me surprising Lily. I whispered into the phone, saying I knew she was down there. My voice sounded calm, but my chest felt tight, not in fear, just in irritation. If she messed up my workday for a joke, I wanted proof. Right before taking another step, I heard movement below. It wasn't the knocking anymore, it was softer, like someone shifting their weight. I leaned the phone forward to catch any shape. The screen stayed dark. The tension around me didn't come from the place, it came from waiting for the sound again. I stayed quiet for a few seconds, letting the silence stretch until my nerves felt thin. I held my breath and listened. Then my phone vibrated. I looked at the screen. Lily had sent a photo. She was in a store, shelves behind her, rows of sneakers. Her message said, "Which color should I get?" My legs felt unsteady instantly. I wrote, "Where are you?" She replied fast, "I told you, downtown. Why?" I stared into the darkness below. If she wasn't home, then someone else was in the basement. I didn't want to believe that, but I couldn't deny the sounds. I felt exposed, standing on the stairs with only my phone as a light source. I turned to go back up. The basement door slammed shut behind me, hard. I spun around and grabbed the handle. It didn't move. I pulled again, harder. Nothing. It didn't feel locked. It felt held. Something pressed it from the other side. I didn't shout. I didn't freeze. I just tried again and again with growing panic. Behind me, the basement stayed silent. That silence felt worse than any noise. I kept trying the door until I realized I was wasting time. If I was stuck down there, I needed to see what else was in the room with me. I lifted my phone and pointed the light down the stairs. The beam hit the floor at the bottom. Nothing moved. No steps, no figure, no person breathing, just the old concrete floor. But I didn't trust what I saw. The tension grew fast, like the gap between a scream and a horror movie. My breathing got louder. I stepped down slowly, each foot hitting the wood louder than I wanted. The phone shook in my hand. Halfway down, I heard something new. A dragging sound behind me. Not steps, not tapping, like fabric sliding on wood. I didn't turn immediately. I didn't want to, but my body reacted before I could think. I turned the light toward the top of the stairs. Shapes moved there. Not one, several. Their outlines weren't clean. They didn't look like people. They shifted in ways I couldn't describe without sounding insane. They were silent, but they moved fast, coming down the stairs toward me. My legs reacted before my brain did, stumbling backward into the basement. My foot slipped on the last step and I hit the floor hard. The phone flew from my hand and spun across the ground, lighting the ceiling. I scrambled to grab it, but the shapes reached the bottom before I could get up. I felt something touch my arm. Not a hand, something thinner, sharp. It dragged across my skin and left a burning line. Then a second, then more. I kicked backward, trying to get distance, but my body didn't move fast enough. Right before they reached me again, the phone's light flickered. In that brief pulse, I saw them clearer. They didn't have faces. They didn't have limbs in the way bodies should. They were twisted, stretched, bending in ways bones shouldn't allow. They closed around me in a circle. The tension snapped all at once. They attacked, not like animals, not with rage. They just tore into me with a steady rhythm, as if my body was nothing more than a thing they needed to pull apart. Lines of pain hit my legs, my chest, my back. It didn't stop. It was constant, covering every inch of me. I screamed until I felt my throat give out. I tried rolling, kicking, anything to get away, but something grabbed my leg and twisted. I heard the crack before I felt it. Another shape pulled my arm, wrenching it out of place with a wet sound. The basement spun, my own screams mixed with the scraping noises of those things. The phone fell again. The screen turned red with the recording light blinking. Then everything went blurry. A sudden hit to my side knocked the air out of me, and the world broke apart. A long time passed before I opened my eyes again. Maybe hours, maybe more. The basement wasn't there, the darkness was gone. Instead, I saw lights above me. White, harsh, clean. I couldn't move, only my eyelids responded. Someone held my hand. I heard crying. I turned my head a little and saw Lily next to me, tears running nonstop. Our mom was behind her, shaking, holding onto her shoulder. I tried speaking, but no sound came out. A paramedic leaned over me. He checked my pulse and whispered something to another man near the door. They lifted me onto a stretcher. Every shift of my body sent pain firing through my legs and arms. I saw the bandages wrapped around me stained with fresh blood. As they rolled me out, I caught a reflection in a metal cabinet. My legs were bent wrong. My arm was out of place entirely. My whole torso looked like someone dragged blades across it for hours. I managed to whisper to Lily, "Get out of this house." She nodded fast, confused. Mom couldn't look at me without crying harder. The doctor later told them he didn't understand what kind of animal could cause wounds like mine inside a house. He said the cuts were too precise and too chaotic at the same time. Nothing matched. I spent weeks in the hospital. Every day someone asked me what happened. Police, doctors, therapists, even neighbors. I didn't know what to say. Lily showed me the phone later. The recording was still there. Most of them were just sounds before I got to the basement. I'm really grateful my sister trusted me and believed me. She never went back to the house. She packed what they could in daylight with a group of people watching their backs. She didn't tell anyone why. I'll keep this short because the real mess started later. I make videos for TikTok. Nothing fancy, mostly stupid challenges, quick jokes, and behind-the-scenes clips of my day. My name is Reed, and until a few months ago, my life was normal. I wasn't famous, just mildly known, enough to get random comments, nothing more. I didn't pay attention to every account that followed me. There were too many. But sometimes a name stuck around because it kept appearing everywhere. That's how I first saw her, Lauren Rose. Her profile photo looked harmless, just a round-faced girl posing with a peace sign. She commented on every post. She stitched my videos. She wrote long threads about things I said that didn't deserve threads. I ignored it because I thought it was the usual parasocial stuff, annoying but manageable. I didn't think much about what she did outside the app. I didn't know she had folders on her phone full of screenshots of me, or that she edited my face into her selfies, or that she kept messages addressed to me in her drafts like we were having conversations. Everything felt like background noise until I started dating someone new. That tiny shift lit the fuse, and I had no idea how fast it was going to burn. Her comments changed the day I posted a photo with my girlfriend, Tara. Before that, Lauren's posts were clingy but playful. After the photo, the tone changed. She didn't joke anymore. She wrote long rants about how fake relationships on social media destroyed creators. She said Tara didn't appreciate me. She said she knew me better. I didn't interact with any of it. Tara saw some of the stuff and laughed it off. I told her not to worry. I wish I had taken it seriously. Lauren's videos became more frequent. She filmed her reactions to my stories like she was reacting to a breakup. She started wearing clothes she thought I liked because I had mentioned them once in a random Q&A. Then came the edits. She posted a compilation of pictures of me with soft music, and people started tagging me, asking what was going on. I blocked her, but blocking didn't do much. She made new accounts. She kept showing up. She used fake names, different photos. My notifications became a steady stream of her presence slipping through every crack. The night Tara told me she felt someone watching her outside her apartment, I tried to act calm. I told her it was probably a neighbor, but I already felt something tightening in my stomach, and even then I didn't know how far this woman was willing to go. The tension built up slowly during the following days. Tara said she kept hearing someone on the stairs when she left for work. Footsteps paused behind her car, then left. None of it sounded dramatic, but it added up. I told her I'd stay over more often. I wanted to keep her calm, even though I didn't feel calm at all. One evening, Tara stepped outside to take a call, and I stayed in her living room scrolling through my phone. Every few seconds, I checked the door. Something felt off in the room, but not in a supernatural way. It was just the kind of silence that makes you wait for something to happen. My chest stayed tight the whole time she was gone. The first real sign came when Tara rushed back inside. Her voice was shaky. She said someone across the street had pointed a phone directly at her and didn't look away even when she stared back. I asked her what the person looked like. She said it was a woman with a round face and messy hair tied up. She didn't need to say the name. I knew exactly who she meant. Before I opened the blinds to check, I stood still for a moment and tried to listen for anything outside. There were cars passing by, people talking in the distance. Nothing alarming, but I couldn't shake the feeling that if I looked outside, she'd already be staring at me. That small pause made it worse because I knew what I was risking by checking. When I finally opened the blinds, the street was empty. No woman, no phone, no sign of anyone. That almost felt worse because it meant she was fast, or she was hiding, or both. Tara begged me to report it, but reporting a stare didn't feel like enough. I told her we'd deal with it if it happened again. I regret those words more than anything. A few days later, Tara didn't show up for our usual call. I tried to convince myself that she was busy, but the waiting felt heavier than usual, like every minute stretched too long. I paced around my room, checking my phone constantly, trying not to imagine the worst. When she finally messaged, it wasn't a normal text. It was a short voice note, just breathing, no words. I couldn't tell if she was scared, injured, or trying to say something. I called her immediately. No answer. I grabbed my keys and drove to her building. The entire ride felt endless. Each red light made me feel like I was failing her. Before going inside, I stayed in my car for a second to gather myself. The parking lot looked normal. A few lamps flickering, an empty bench, nothing visibly wrong, and that just made my heart beat louder because danger usually hides in places that look normal. I ran up the stairs. Her door was slightly open. When I pushed it, I made a slow scraping noise against the floor. The apartment was dark except for the kitchen light. Tara was on the floor, leaning against the counter. She was conscious, but barely. Her arm was cut. Her face was bruised. She whispered that someone had broken in and grabbed her from behind. She tried to fight back, but the person was furious, shaking, out of control. She said the woman kept saying my name over and over. Before I could ask anything else, Tara said the attacker left when she heard someone coming up the stairs. I held her and tried to keep my voice steady while calling the emergency services. My hands kept shaking. I felt useless. I felt like this entire thing was my fault. Tara was taken to the hospital. She survived, but she kept repeating the same thing. The woman was strong, fast, and angry enough to kill someone. While she talked, I could tell she wasn't just hurt, she was terrified that the woman would come back. Police took my statement, but since they didn't have a full name or solid proof linking Lauren to the attack, they couldn't do much. They recommended staying somewhere safe for a while. I went home, packed a bag, and drove to my brother's place. I didn't stop looking at the mirrors the whole ride. Every time a car followed me for more than a minute, I assumed it was her. That night, before going inside, I checked every part of the street around his house. The bushes, the sidewalk, the cars parked nearby. Nothing looked disturbed, but that didn't calm me down. I was sure she was close. She had already found Tara's building. Finding mine wouldn't be hard. I stayed in the guest room, tried to sleep, failed. Every sound made me sit up. Floorboards popping, a dog barking, a car door shutting. I kept imagining Lauren walking around outside, waiting for the moment I let my guard down. Around 3 a.m, I heard the back gate move. It was a quick metallic noise. I froze for a second, not because I felt paralyzed, but because I wanted to make sure I wasn't imagining it. I stood up slowly and moved toward the house. I stood up slowly and moved toward the window, careful not to make sounds. When I opened the curtain just a little, I saw movement in the yard. A figure close to the shed, half hidden. Someone breathing fast, shoulders rising and falling. I leaned a bit closer, and in the dim light, I recognized the round face, the messy hair, the way she held her phone up like she was recording something personal. Lauren had found me. Before doing anything, I stepped back from the window and tried to breathe quietly. I had no plan. I wasn't brave, I wasn't prepared, but I knew I had to move or she'd get inside. I grabbed the closest thing I could find, a metal flashlight, and walked toward the hallway. I heard the back handle move. She tried to get in. The metal clicked, softly, steady, like she had all the time in the world. I moved toward the kitchen, keeping low. Every step felt like it took too long. She entered the house. I heard her shoes scrape against the floor. She whispered something to herself, my name mixed with broken phrases, as if she was having a full conversation with a version of me that lived in her head. I stayed behind the kitchen counter waiting. My hands were shaking so much I was afraid she'd hear them tapping against the flashlight. She walked past the counter just a few inches away. I could see her clothes, her breathing, the sweat on her neck. When she leaned toward the hallway, I moved. I didn't think, I just stepped forward and hit her in the back of the shoulder with the flashlight. She stumbled, dropped her phone, and tried to grab me. We both fell, and the impact knocked the wind out of me. She grabbed my arm and tried to pull me closer. Her nails dug into my skin. Her face was twisted, desperate, almost pleading. She kept repeating that she loved me, that Tara ruined everything, that she needed to fix what was broken. I pushed her away with everything I had. My brother came running from his room, probably woken by the noise. He pulled her off me and held her down until the police arrived. I stayed on the floor, exhausted, feeling like my body had finally reached its limit. Lauren was taken away. Tara recovered. I'm still trying to return to my normal routines, but things feel different now. I'm more careful. I check behind me when I walk. I avoid sharing anything personal online. The police told me she had been tracking my location through tiny details in my posts. Street signs, reflections on windows, background lights, things I never paid attention to. I still make videos, but less often. Every time a new username comments on my post a little too often, I take note. I'm not relaxed anymore. I don't think I'll ever be completely relaxed again. Laura Rose is accused of cyberstalking. She became obsessed with a man on TikTok and was in an imaginary relationship with him. She also literally flew to another state just to stalk him. Lauren's become one of the internet's most infamous disasters, but her followers keep defending her like she's the victim, cheering her on in her comment section.